Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us today on the program Law and You. I am Adesuwa Osauwaye. Today we're going to be looking at violence against women, violence against persons. But unfortunately, women usually suffer more from violence, be it domestic violence or violence otherwise, any way you want to look at it. The reason why it's like that, I can't tell you, but I have somebody in the house who is going to be talking about this. Is going to give us a lot of answers to our questions. And if you're ready, I'm ready. So join me as I welcome Mrs. Maria Omozeli Edeko, barrister at law, and of course, the FIDA chairperson, Edo State Chapter. It's nice to have you join us today.
Thank you, Adesuwa. Always good to be with you.
Thank you. Now, when we say violence against women or violence against persons, exactly what are we looking at?
Well, traditionally, when we talk about violence against women or against persons, it has, people think merely of physical violence,
okay,
when you cause injury to other person. These days, in international human rights law, violence against women or violence against persons,
let's just narrow it down to women and see.
Well, okay, against women, the scope has been expanded,
okay,
because we found out that there are other acts that impact on women far more than even the physical injury.
Okay,
so we have verbal assault, we have psychological assault, emotional, finance. So there are several other, terms that have been added to the definition of violence against women.
Okay.
So it's not the usual one where you just talk about only physical violence.
So it's
emotional violence.
So how do we determine emotional? How do we determine, psychological?
I give you a typical example. I had a friend who was always being assaulted by the husband, and very pretty lady. So you will see when the woman dresses up, they are to go out for a party. He wants to put her down and say, "Oh, look at your leg, looking like licky. Do you think you are fine?" And what my friend, you will see her should be shivering. If she was putting on a high shoe, she will lose confidence in herself. She goes to put the shoe down and wears flat slippers, and her whole day is just messed up. Those are things that we don't see, but people just talk. Women talk about it with each other, and without looking at other people, just think, oh, it is only when you have been battered, you have swollen face. That is no. When it is psychological, it's more. That's why you see some women commit suicide, and it leads to very high rate of divorce, because those things are bottled up. The woman does not speak because the culture, the environment. One day you just see her moving out of her matrimonial home, and you try to find out what is going on. Do you see the man, the husband, as a complete gentleman? He does not beat her, but something worse than physical beating is being taking place. Okay. So we want our families to be intact. We don't want broken home. We don't want divorces here and there. That is why these days there is need to talk about these other forms of violence against women.
All right, just before the former president left office, there was this bill that was signed into law, something on violence against persons. I don't know what is happening with that law, because if we have it in place, why are we still experiencing such in our society?
Yeah, that is the challenge of Nigeria. There are countries, some they are monoliths, some are dualists. What we mean by this, when a law, be it an international law or even a law made by the National Assembly, you have to take further steps to domesticate it in the various states.
Okay.
In 2015, the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act was passed into law by the then president, Billy Jonathan. And the law has been domesticated in some states of the Federation.
Well, what about Edo here?
No, Edo State is at the verge of passing the of domestication. The bill passed the first reading. By the second reading, it was stepped down.
How would you know that? You don't work there?
Yeah, it was on television. We watched it, you know, and we are actually wondering, because this...
Was there any particular reason why it was stepped down?
Well, the way I would want to look at this is to actually look at what is in this new act that is of benefit to our people.
Okay.
Yes, because I have always said the legislator...
Is that a copy of it?
Yes, I have a copy of it.
Okay, so just quickly tell us what we stand to benefit.
They are voted in by the people.
All right.
And they are there to actually do the bidding of the people. The good of the people, the welfare of the people.
To make the people comfortable.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you look at the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, the bill before the Edo State House of Assembly is there just to domesticate what we have at the national level.
Yes.
There is a provision there on rape.
Okay.
The scope of rape was expanded.
Okay.
Before now, we know when we talk of rape, we're only talking about penetration, vaginal penetration, which is not only what we have there now, because there are new crime evolving every day, and the law needs to take care of this. So we are no longer talking, we are talking about where now, first of all, this Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, it takes care of both men and women, not just only the women, because even men, violence could be perpetrated against men.
They suffer violence.
So you look at the language of this bill, saying he or she, where he or she intentionally penetrates the vagina, anus, or mouth of another person with any other part of his or her body, or anything else. And also, you look at this bill, is, for example, where you use objects.
Okay.
You use an instrument
to penetrate either a man or a woman.
Yes. So it's not like before, where we just think only about the human organs.
Yeah.
And this is an interesting law because it makes with contemporary demand of the community.
Okay.
And also it goes on to say where you use any substance or additive capable of taking away the will of such person.
Maybe
today, look at our community. We all go to work. Our children, they go out with friends for birthday party, and someone somewhere chooses to add in their hand to
drinks,
cannabis, to making of
spice up drinks,
tramadol, and the will of the person is conquered. They take sexual advantage of that person. Is that what we want for our community? So these are issues we need to deal with, because children are our heritage. We cannot just open our eyes and allow our children to be destroyed. Why do we work? Again, you see these days, gang rape is becoming a common thing. This violence, the VAB Act, the short form is called VAB Act, now B. If it's passed into law by God's grace in Edo State, it becomes the VAB law. Children, you see young men, they say they are into secret courts or whatever, they gang rape girls. or any person for that matter. Is that what we want for our community? Because when we don't take the needful step, it could be anybody. When the early morning rain, when it falls, you know, it does not affect only one person.
Yeah.
So we need to look at this. Also, this law talks a very innovative compensation for victim. When a victim there's any violent act against a victim, it's not just business as usual.
Okay.
There should be compensation for the victim. These are international standards.
What about punishment?
Of course, there are punishments. Why I don't want to emphasize too much about this punishment, they are there. Some 20 years imprisonment.
Because most times these things happen and the perpetrators go scot-free.
Yes.
And the victim becomes victimized the more.
Now there's punishment for the perpetrator and there's compensation for the victim. So, also, this law makes provision for a register of offenders. So that if you are an offender, your name is put on that register. You commit such offense again, and a time will come will feel that you cannot live with civilized human being. When you want to rent a house, somebody can say no. This person, that's what happens in developed world. We can't allow this person to live with our wife, with our children. So such are the innovation in this new law.
Okay.
And you look at other provisions. It talks about stalking. For example, you are in your house, somebody's loitering around your environment and puts you in a state of fear that harm is about to come to you. If that person is arrested, there will be, and convicted, there will be punishment for such a person. And or somebody calls your number in this age where there is kidnapping and all that. When you try to answer the call, the person says, hello, who are you?
Yeah.
Just to put you in a state of fear. If that call is traced to that person, the person is convicted, the person will be punished. Also, you look at this new law. Like I have said, it talks about all forms of violence: emotional, verbal, psychological violence.
Okay.
And it talks about intimidation. Or when you marry, your parents have sent you to school, and at the end of the day, your spouse tells you not to work. That is economic violence, because you have a responsibility to take care of yourself,
and
your children, and your parents in their old age.
Is it a must?
Of course, even the African Charter provides for it.
Okay.
That is why we are Africa.
So if peradventure we have somebody who is denying the parents, the children, this kind of assistance, can that person be prosecuted?
Of course, the person can, because the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, it provides for it.
How can action be brought against that person if you want to prosecute?
It's a human right violation.
Okay.
You go to the High Court as a parent, because we are a people. There are several laws that provides for our need. They are not English laws Oyibo man's law like we want to say. When we don't want to pass any law, we say it is Oyibo man's idea. These laws, they've been made to suit our people. We cannot remain where we are. There must be increment. If the country, there are development, new challenges are coming up, why is it that our people don't want to improve on our laws? So these laws, they are for the benefit of our community. They are to make families to be more stable. Like when you look at this violence on rape, some people say, oh, is this spousal rape? We have done a survey to see that in relationship, in marital relationship, you should actually learn to be kind to each other. You should love each other. You should pet each other. That is why you see sometimes men, when they want to have relationship with their spouse, should be saying, my head, my leg, my shoulder are opening me. And the man wouldn't understand. It is what you have done earlier in the day.
Okay. So the romance has to really start earlier in the day, not just bam.
So we want families to stay together. The way they see it, when you want to have relationship with your wife, she just come bam like that. If I now try to force her, that she's not an animal. Why do you think? But a lot of people have argued that there is nothing like a man raping his wife or a woman raping their husband. Of course, all they see in most African countries. There's nothing like spousal rape. There is spousal rape in law in African countries. It's not a white man's law. Where did this law come about? But when you say I do, you have given everything of yours to the man. Adesua, we want to save the family. We don't want divorces. Because we carried out a survey and found out that there is high incidence of divorce. What is happening? That women, because your wife, you instead of petting her, instead of being nice to her, you buy her gifts. You don't put her down. When you are going out for a drink, you go out the way it was when you people started. Okay. You now come into relationship, you just come, lie down, turn there. She does it because she is your wife. Okay? Now, we found out that that woman has something bottled up. She will not express. She's pained. She's been abused emotionally. She's been abused. What happens? Later on, one little thing will happen someday. She's out. And then divorce come. Okay. These are, we've done surveys. We found out all this. So what we are trying to do, we want to reduce the incidences of divorce. Okay. So instead of forcing your spouse, be your friend, that she will be the one waiting for you in the bedroom. Not a question of using brute force on her. Okay. So because when there is divorce, the families suffer, the children suffer. Like FIDA, as a matter of principle, we don't do divorce cases. When spouses come to us, we give them counseling. Okay. If we have counseled you, we try to resolve the dispute. You refuse, we will tell you where you can find yourself a lawyer. And that shows that we want the preservation of marriages. So people should not frown at it when they hear spousal rape. It is meant to ensure that there is peace in the family, that we don't have high incidences of divorce. All right, this act of bill we're talking about now, would it have made it so easy for women to seek justice when they are being abused, either when they suffer domestic violence, emotional violence, whatever violence that they suffer? Would this have made it easier for them to seek justice? Not only women. This law has something like acid baths. If you are a partner, a male or female, you are so jealous, you go and pour acid on another person. This law makes provision for it. If this law is domesticated, we are going to have lots of benefits from it, both for the male and female, and specifically for our you know that normally women are always at a disadvantage when it comes to bringing action against a man or any other person. So would this law, like I asked before, would it have made it easier, or would it make it easy for women to seek justice? It will make women, not only women, men to seek justice. Okay. Because we have... Would it make it easier for women? A whole lot easier. Because like this book, if you look at this law now, it is like something that have been put together instead of looking for the piece of legislation in different, you just get it in one document, which is very good. It's enforced in Abuja. If you say you are a man, you are living in Edo State, this law, we don't want to pass it in Edo State. So when you get to Abuja, you violate your spouse. Won't the law catch up with you? So, and families hardly, you see, partners hardly go to court. It is when marriages are broken up irretrievably. So there is no need for us to be worried, you know, about this law. It talks about other laws like incest, which is already in our law. But now, both the person, the consenting person, and even the violator, the perpetrator, both of them, there is punishment for them. You know,
that's when it comes to incest.
Our traditional values must be respected. When there's a certain level of, you know, blood relations, you cannot have sexual intercourse. We cannot be acting like beasts.
But how many people is going to bring that to light? Because it happens in most homes.
Well, it happens.
But which mom, which dad is going to bring out the children to say, oh, this is happening?
Now, let me tell you, if you look at this law, it's also talk about economic violence. When you have a spouse that is working, why do you think so many persons, either the male or the woman, is unable to bring action? Because she will think, oh, if I don't work, if I bring action against this man, it means,
how do I finance the whole thing?
That, you know, so you see a woman in a relationship with a spouse who is abusing their daughter. If you have a means of livelihood, would you do that? No. You will report to the family, the extended family. You will go to the police. You will go to the law. When we look at this issue, let's not only look at the relationship between the husband and wife. You as a husband, you are a father. I see men crying when they come to federal secretariat that their daughter has been violated, has been battered by their husband. So when it becomes their child, they are worried, they are angry. But when it is time to make law to help the community, they want to throw that law away. Okay. So we played most sincerely with the people of Edo State, because the legislators are representing us. All of us
before you make that plain, I'll quickly take a break and be right back. This is Law and You on independent television, and I am talking with Maria Omozeli Edeko. She is the chairperson of FIDA, and we are looking at violence against persons. And we're also hoping that this law will be domesticated in Edo State, so that we can have relief, a huge one, because this law is going to make it a lot easier for people to prosecute when you are being violated. If you want to reach us, there is a number on your screen to use. Send us a text message only, and you can also use the website addresses that are showing on your screen to ask questions, comments, or whatever it is that you want to ask.
The DPO comes in the morning and says, what are you doing at the police station? What are you doing here? What are you doing here? And you say, I was arrested. Who arrested you? John arrested you. Call me John. Why did you arrest this man? If he cannot give an account to the DPO why he's arrested, the DPO asks you to go.
I point a gun at someone, he gets frightened. It is battery, even though no physical injury has been suffered.
Citizen of a country, you have all your fundamental rights intact, and nobody, including the police, can subject you to extortion and inhuman treatment.
Thank you for joining us again on Law and You, and this of course is the roundup section. So as we round up now, what do you think is the way forward for us to get this bill domesticated and make things easier for persons who have been, you know, violated or whose rights have been trampled upon?
First of all, if you look at this law, the body that is responsible for the implementation of this law is native.
Okay.
Now, our sincere call is that the law, the act, should be domesticated in Edo State without alteration. Even when we say domestication to suit local purposes, I don't see the situation in Benin, in Auchi, in Uromi, substantially different from that in Abuja and other states of the Federation.
Okay.
And we, at international level, globally, we are, the human rights law is expanding in scope. We should not remove anything from this act.
Okay.
That, oh, we want to expunge this to suit our local.
So everything here is for the benefit of
our
the community.
people.
All right, people, you've heard it all. If we get this law domesticated, it will be a good thing for all of us. We will be beneficiaries of this. We'll see you again next week. Bye for now.